This is five 508. So yeah, the call is being recorded. So welcome once again to Startup Grind Weary, or rather, welcome back again to the most anticipated Startup Grind event. Many of you might be community members from other communities, and you're very much welcome. So there's really an exciting, this event is specifically, we're going to be talking about a very exciting project we've been anticipating, the Founder Dojo program for the state of Imo, which is literally, application has been open for past couple days or weeks, and deadline is pretty close. So it's really important you really get to get the orientation, background knowledge of what it is all about, and you know what it aims to achieve and how it can be beneficial to you. So, and most importantly, we'll be learning lots of exciting lessons from our supreme leader and serial entrepreneur Chris Brewery, who has really been in this game for decades, and even in this founder dojo, he's the founder and he's really going to be giving us lots of lessons. So really going to be exciting to be a part of it. And yeah, just like many of you are joining from Enugu, who your chapter director in Enugu there, um, Rich. So I am Kingari Ize by name. I'm the chapter director for Owerri here, and it's super exciting, super exciting to get to be amongst you for this very special one. And you can also see with me here, Chris Brewery from US Mac and Colin Donoghue of Innovation Dojo. And Colin also happens to be the chapter director for BBC Georgia. He's really done lots of, you know, exciting and, daunting things in the startup ecosystem there in BBC and Georgia. Yeah, and he's really also been guiding me on a couple exciting things here in Owerri.
Mhm.
So super exciting to have you all here, and I'll be handing over to Colin now to, continue and maybe introduce Chris in, and as we proceed. So you're very much welcome once again. So stay tuned and let's enjoy this one together.
Great. Thanks so much, Kincaid. So yeah, it's great to be connected with the startup family and Imu, Enugu, and other parts of Nigeria. So I'm not gonna to go too much into sort of my background. The sort of star of the show is Chris Burry, but I'll just introduce briefly the Founder Dojo that's going to be held in. We're going to reiterate a couple points as we go along. But the principle of Founder Dojo is that it brings experienced, exited founders, like people who've grown and sold very serious companies, or other folks who have deep expertise in growing startups. Founder Dojo in Emu is going to be run by Chris Burry, who I'll share more about, and also Ken Singer, the head of Entrepreneurship Center at UC Berkeley, the top performing university in the world for entrepreneurship. So the head of the Sudarja Entrepreneurship Center is going to be in Nigeria, in Owerri, working with Nigerian founders. Also his colleague, David Law, who's sort of second in charge of the center, and a number of other Silicon Valley, just very experienced and expert people. So this is a pretty rare opportunity. Usually, this level of expertise is very expensive for founders to get, either in cash or in equity. This program, there is no fee. So it has been supported by the Imo Digital City and the state of Imo, and so that's why it's hosted in Imo. So I'll turn the sort of the microphone over to Chris Burry. I just want to say a couple things that Chris is one of the most experienced people I've ever met, probably the most experienced person I've ever met in terms of international mentoring and training for founders. He himself has had 9 companies that he's founded. The largest exit was 1.2 billion. A company that employs thousands of people now that started out as an idea. Around 15 years ago, he semi-retired and has been working around the world and has worked with over 5,000 founders in 80 countries. So the level of experience, not just as a Silicon Valley founder who's been able to scale and learned, the hard-won lessons of scaling, but also as somebody who has touched the ground in many places around the world and understands, different places are different, and what are the core things that are essential around the world, and what are the things that are different. Nigeria is different than the U.S. Whereas different than London. So Chris brings an incredible perspective on that, and I wish we could tell more of the story. But I just want to welcome to the stage Chris Burry. A little hand of applause, and would love, Chris, if you could tell us a bit of background as to why you started Founder Dojo. What was missing in the world, and why do you feel it was important to start it?
Thank you, Colin. I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, and thank you to all of you for taking time out of your weekend to come and to listen to this presentation, listen to us talk. During the time I was at Avanade, which was the larger company that Colin mentioned, I had the privilege of working all over the world. And what I saw was that there were really talented people everywhere. That, the United States, Silicon Valley did not have sort of this special, unique set of people in terms of raw intelligence, technical talent, and so forth. But as I talked with people and got to know them and got exposed to startup founders and the ecosystems around the world, it realized that talent is everywhere, but the opportunity was not equally distributed. And so in late 2010, I made the decision to partner with another individual to create what today is known as U.S. Market Access Center, USMAC. And my co-founder of USMAC, Alfredo, and I shared the belief that we really wanted to be able to, what we called, level the playing field. We wanted to give founders around the world better opportunities to succeed. And our initial hypothesis was that we would do that by being able to help non-US technical startups get access to the largest market in the world, the US, hence the name, US Market Access Center, very descriptive. But what we learned very quickly was that most of the startup founders were not ready to come to the United States. They typically would come, they would spend some time in the US, they would spend a bunch of money, and then they would leave. And they'd go home having wasted time and money. And so we began this journey to understand how we needed to get founders ready to be able to be competitive on a global scale. And we really spent the last almost 12 years learning how founders learn, learning what they need to learn, understanding what we call the mindset, which is the core of how founders need to think. What is the knowledge that they need? What are the skills that they need? And for over a decade, we've partnered with Berkeley on this mission in terms of how do we figure this stuff out. And about 18 months ago, we decided to sort of bring it all together into what we now call the Innovation Dojo, which is really focused not like a traditional startup accelerator. We are really much more interested in how do we create great founders, because great founders are ultimately the people who create great companies. Colin often uses an analogy of like sports teams. If you think about a team that is competitive, a national team that is competitive for the World Cup, it is about having really super talented players on the team. It's not about the team, it's about the players who make up the team. And what we were seeing was that the founders lacked a certain level of knowledge and skill and mindset. And that's what we're meaning to change it. And the analogy about the one in a million founder is really driven by the fact that Microsoft estimates that there are as many as 150 million startups in the world. Now, I don't think that's true. But even if I say, okay, Microsoft, nice try, let's just take 10% of that number and say it's 1.5 million or no, is that right? 150 million, 15 million, 1%, 1.5 million founders. The number that go on to build really big companies is very small. Over the past 20 years, there have been less than 2,000 companies that have been built that are worth more than $1 billion. And so when we talk about the idea of a one in a million founder, it's about how do we help people get to the place where they're able to compete at that level? How can you take the equivalent of a really naturally talented football player and make them a World Cup star? And so that's the goal of the dojo, is to make founders better. Now, not everybody's going to be the one in a million founder, and that's okay. Because the skills that you learn at the dojo will help you in your daily life. It will help you in a professional career. It will help you as a freelancer. If you go and you do a startup, it may not help you in the first startup. It may go on and help you in the second, the third, the fourth startup. But the idea is to help people become better at this idea of innovation and entrepreneurship so that they can be as successful as is humanly possible for them. And I'm going to stop because I could talk for hours about this stuff. And Colin usually has to tell me to be quiet.
No, it's good. It's good to tag team here. So yeah, so there's kind of the background of what we're talking about. The idea of growing founders rather than startups. In Chris's example, Chris, your first startup was not your best startup. Your second startup was really not your best startup, and it's only
Yeah. The second startup, I basically set it on fire at the side of the road, and not only lost all the investors' money, but lost almost all of my money too. So yeah, not my best day.
And there are two things in that for me. One is that being a high scale startup founder means you're going to have to throw everything at something. A lot of times it doesn't work, and that's okay. You dust yourself off, and as you go, you learn from those experiences and so forth. Part of the challenge in in young ecosystems, like a lot of the founders in Nigeria, it's the first time to really take a swing at a big growing a big company. And so there's not the experience base. And in Silicon Valley, there are like tens of thousands of serial founders at least. And there are literally sort of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who've been part of high growth startups. And there's this intense network that helps you learn it's just like in the air. Like you learn naturally. It's like imagine if you were like hanging out with friends who are all like professional football players, right, and kicking the ball around every day. You're just going to get better. But what Dojo realizes is that there's not that experience base and that mindset that is so important for high growth startups. So this is essentially like a proxy or a substitute for those exited founders, right? So we have by design people coming who've grown giant companies like Chris has, or pretty decent companies in the hundreds of millions like others have. Folks who've run venture funds and who know how VCs think, how do they view things. And if you've never met a VC, you don't really have a good basis for understanding how to communicate with them, and so on and so forth. So the idea is to make these very intense experiences that folks have available to folks in Aware. In terms of the structure, Chris, do you want me to speak a little bit about the structure of the program, or do you want to cover that?
No, why don't you do it, Colin?
Okay. So yeah, just to give a sense of the mechanics. So the plan is for this program to run over the next 4 years, if all goes to plan. The first year, there will be 100 folks selected. And I don't want to say founders, because it doesn't require you to already have a startup idea that you're working on. You don't need a working company. You don't need to have decided on what idea to work on, because part of the program is scanning for opportunities, evaluating those opportunities, talking to customers, going deep in the customer pain points. And you don't want to do that just with one company, because then you haven't really developed the skill. Like often people will have a clever idea and they'll run with that clever idea. That's not what this program is for. This program is for you to develop, to do the repetitions, to do the reps, and develop your strength as a founder in evaluating markets, evaluating opportunities, and really getting deep with customers. Because it's our belief that everything comes from creating customer value. And your ability to understand the customers deeply and match that with solutions that really meet the need is really what we're going for. So in the process, we have 100 people come in, and that's filtered down. So basically, it's like it's an opportunity to sort of get in there, learn a bit, and kind of show what you're made of. A lot of people don't want really to be entrepreneurs, because the work of being an entrepreneur is very chaotic and unstructured. So we find the 40 out of those 100, or add other people in, but we have 40 then who go to the Opportunity Dojo. Opportunity Dojo is going to be focused on what I said about identifying and validating opportunities from the customers. And then only when you have a strong signal that something is needed, then do you start building product. Then comes in Product Dojo, and you get into sales and so forth. So the beginning is 100, goes to 40, 20, 12, and then at the end, about a year from now, 3 to 6 people are going to go to Silicon Valley for 4 weeks and are going to have this intense immersion experience. And it's going to be the ideas that are built on very strong signal from the customer, building of products that really are resonant with the customer and that people are just going crazy for, and then showing the ability to scale, or to sell locally and in some other markets. So that's the mechanics of the program. I'm going to maybe jump back to a bit of the theory behind it, if Chris will go there. And to me, it's a very magical combination of Chris's deep experience in the trenches as a founder, and the magic synergy with Ken Singer, who is the keeper of the Berkeley entrepreneurship method, some of the deepest research in building entrepreneurship capacity and mindset. So Chris, like maybe you could tell a little bit about how this particular sort of team came together, and what you think is special about this relative to other offerings in the market.
Yeah, so the the thing that we learned over the course of working with startup founders is, first and foremost, founders need to learn from other founders. Entrepreneurship is a skills activity. It requires you to perform certain things in a skillful way, right? Think about like a mechanic has skills to fix an engine. A doctor who is a surgeon has a skill to do the surgery. It's a skills activity. And you can't learn a skill from reading about it. You can't learn a skill from being able to watch a YouTube video. You have to learn a skill by doing it. And you can only really learn a skill if the people who are helping you learn it actually know how to do it themselves. If you think again about the idea of a surgeon, you would not want to have someone be a surgeon if they learned how to be a surgeon from a lawyer. That would be a disaster, right? You don't want to learn how to fix a car from somebody who learned how to be a surgeon, right? So entrepreneurs have to learn from other experienced entrepreneurs. But part of the learning journey is about the mindset of founders. How do founders actually think about the world? Where other people see risk, founders see opportunity. While other people like try to keep information close to themselves, right? That founders, really great entrepreneurs, share and look for opportunities to collaborate. They think differently. And the question of how do you help people think differently is really hard. And I, quite by accident, met Ken Singer, who is the managing director of the Entrepreneurship Center at Berkeley, which is the best university in the world for sort of creating startups. Yes, even more so than Stanford. Stanford gets all the press, right? But Berkeley is actually the one that produces the most founders. So the question becomes, how do you do this? And the team at Berkeley has spent more than 20 years figuring out how to do this. And so Ken and I have sort of worked together where, through our experience of working hands-on with founders around the world, we know what they need to learn. Ken is the one who has helped us design the education, the learning journey that helps founders quickly learn the things that they need to learn. So it's this unique combination of hands-on practical experience with really world-class educational work. Now, it doesn't hurt that Ken is also an entrepreneur. He has sold multiple companies, including one that was a unicorn as well. So we have the opportunity to sort of bring these two pieces together and come to places like Aware to be able to help create a new generation of founders who can create great companies.
Great. Yeah, it's definitely a pretty magical combination. You don't find many people in academia who've grown and sold big companies. So the combination of theory and personal experience is very, very exciting.
So I do want to jump in a little bit. There was a question in the chat about scale. Like, what do we mean by scale?
You're gonna scare people, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no, that's my job. No. Most companies, if they're growing at 10, 15, 20% per year, would feel like, wow, we are really going very fast. the idea of scale, in the context of digital entrepreneurship, I'm not talking about if you create a restaurant or if you create a mechanic, a car repair shop or whatever. We're talking about tech and tech-enabled entrepreneurship. You need to be thinking in terms of like growing in a way that you double or triple in size in a year. It's not about growing 10, 20%. It's about growing 100 or 200% during the early days. My personal company, we went from 4 people having a cup of coffee to $500 million a year in revenue in less than 6 years. It took us 5.5 years to get to 500 million in revenue, annual revenue, not combined revenue, annual revenue. And so what we're trying to do, and that kind of scaling requires also a different mindset. It's about how do we create that kind of mindset? How do we help every single person that wants to be on this program, in this program, to actually see and process the world in a way that enables that speed of growth?
Yeah. So it's a very different approach, and a lot of times folks think about things being kind of linear. You grow in a certain way, but what happens when you're really going for unlocking something with huge value is you end up with just exponential growth, where it's not the demand ends up running at you. This is the joke that I make, is when you start in the startup world, you're chasing customers, but when you find product market fit, all of a sudden there's a flood of customers who are chasing you, and you have to figure out how best to satisfy those demands. I see a hand that's raised. If you want to ask a question, unmute.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know what it is over there. Good morning, good afternoon. So thanks for the clarity and clarification. Mr. Chris, I was just thinking, from what you have said, doubling or tripling, and it all depends, sometimes, if not always, on the mindset. I got a little shiver because I was just thinking, I'm in Nigeria and I'm in Enugu. So if you think of, if I understand it well, scaling that fast, do you think we can do that?
100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. Is it easy? No. Will it be one of the hardest things you ever do in your life? Yes. But it is 100%. It is 100% doable. Without any doubt, it's doable. You just need to. And part of it is you have to make the decision that you're going to do it. This is the mindset, which is like my own company. When we set a goal for doing 500 million a year in annual revenue in 5 years, we had no idea how we were going to do it, but we decided we're going to do it. We're going to figure out how to do it. And no, we didn't quite make it. It took us 5.5 years, not 5. Oh, well, when we were at 480 million in annual revenue at the end of year 5, I don't think anyone was crying, right?
Yeah, but the fact that you were setting that goal at such a scale, then you have to engineer towards that objective. And again, it's not always going to work. Like a lot of times, most times it's not going to work. That's the kicker, right? But if you don't try for these big outcomes, it's you're not going to design things in a way that gives you that opportunity.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that Ngozi mentioned the thing of the mind, right? And that's really one of the things. And the other most important part is actually the skill set, right? And that is why we're talking about the Founder Dojo Imo program. You're literally going to be getting that skill set, right? And during the business A-Band summit in Owerri, Chris mentioned something exciting about, I think he said Malaysia. Um, Somebody that wanted to be an investor and stuff, and he told him what to do. Hey, give these guys this money, and then open your network to them. And he said in just a few years' time, he got 3 times his money, right? So it's actually, and somebody is actually also asking a question in the group, right? He's asking, what's the possibility of achieving this at the first time startup founder? It's very possible. You could say that's why I was saying it depends most importantly on the leverage you have. Imagine having the leverage of, Colin here, Chris here, with his experiences and then his own network, all their experiences. These are people that, once they take you through the hands, now you no longer have to learn through mistakes, but they will give you a guidance of what's going to work and what's not. So you already have that head start. So if it's really something you want and you're very certain and you're driven about it, trust me, it's really going to work and it's really going to be successful. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd like
And I
to
would,
add something.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great point. The other thing that I would say is there are two pieces just to reiterate or reinforce what you're saying. Like if somebody decides in isolation and Oweri or Enugu, okay, I'm going to start a giant company versus being in a program with people who have done this already, who know people who've done this already, who know investors who've done this already. Like the level, the odds, I don't know what the odds increase is, but it's got to be at least 100 times, at least 100 times. Because if you can find the right opportunity and if you can execute right, the doors can open very, very easily. You're not having to like start from zero and knock on doors. What that being said, you have to find an opportunity which is fire, not just anything. It has to be something which has that magic. It has you're in the right place at the right time with the right people. That's the magic of that fuels these really, really big outcomes. So there's a bunch of luck. Like, you can have the right idea and if the wrong timing or you make a bad hire, there's so many ways it can go wrong. And that's why we're like, okay, we start with 100 people and then we're going to go down to maybe 3. And it's not that the people who continue are better than the people who didn't continue. A lot of it is that did you hit the timing where you found the right opportunity at the right time that you could execute against. And if you don't start that process of testing opportunities and learning customer discovery, then you're never going to find. But it's not a guarantee that you'll find it. But when you find it, you feel it. It's like being in love, right? You want to find the startup you want to marry, and you're not going to do it necessarily just by scrolling, right? But you find that special chemistry of the team, the chemistry of the market, and if you find that, then the chance of doing it is meaningful. If you don't find that and you end up trying to just push an idea that you think is a clever idea and that the market's not going crazy for, then it's going to be almost impossible.
Yeah, I mean, I will share a little bit about my story because there's a interesting back and forth going on in the chat. I mean, I sold my first company when I was still in university, and I thought I was the smartest guy ever. I was arrogant, and I was foolish. I was just plain lucky. It was not that I was actually any good at what I was doing. I was just lucky. My second company, I completely destroyed. But I learned so much from doing the second company that when I did my third company, I sold my third company for over $40 million. But I would not have been able to sell the $40 million company if I had not sold companies number one, if I had not done companies number 1 and 2. It's all of this is a learning journey. And then the company that was my really big company was company number 5. And I would not have been able to do it had I not done companies 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so I don't think, the odds of doing $1 billion exit on your first company are very small. It's been done, but it's very small. But if you don't start somewhere, you will never get there. So, I'm not trying to set an expectation that says if your first company isn't $1 billion company, you're a failure. Far from it, right? It's about the process of learning. If you think again about the analogy of learning football, you don't go from kicking the football around in front of your house to being in the World Cup just in one jump. What we're really trying to do is create a development program that can take people with real potential and ultimately help them become that World Cup player.
And one thing I'm also very excited about is that we will be developing a cohort of people who are deeply committed to growing great companies and who are learning similar things along the way, who can kick ideas around, help each other grow, and maybe combine efforts, right? So one of the hard things in startups is finding great co-founders. And so we suspect that there'll be some people who team up as a result of this process. So, yeah.
But I do want to say that we have seen people in our various programs who are first-time founders who have ended up with $100-200 million exits. And I don't think if anyone on this call sold their company for $200 million that they would be upset. I don't think any of your friends would be upset. I don't think your mom would be upset. So it is about taking the journey and taking the journey with people who can help you take the journey.
Okay. So I want to spend a little bit more time on things related specifically to the program, and then want to have a little bit of question and answer at the end. Also, we want to invite people later to join into a community where we can continue some Q&A. So if we're going specifically on the topic of the Founder Dojo that's happening in Emu, let me give you a few of pieces of information about the program. So the application deadline is the 2nd of November. I'll put in the chat, and we can share it later as well. founderdojoemu.com. There's a very brief form that you'll fill out, which is just for us to have you in our contacts list. And then you'll go to a Google form, which is long. So don't put it off till the last minute, right? It's a long form. You have to do a brief video. The idea is that, like, we don't know you. The people at Berkeley who are looking at your application have no idea who you are. So you need to give a sense in that application of who you are, so that they can make an informed decision. So I would suggest to get on that as early as possible. We also really would hope that you outreach to other people who you feel have potential. And I would say the more people your community that you can get in, the more benefit your community is going to have. So it doesn't actually like lessen your chances of getting in. It's more that it increases the chances of this information coming into your community. And I would just say it's not about having a startup already. It's not about having chosen an idea, because we want people to go through the process again and again of finding opportunities. What we are looking for are the characteristics that Berkeley has analyzed as enduring characteristics of founders that increase the odds that they are going to be happy being a founder and be successful. So motivation, intrinsically motivating. You can't like wait for other people to like give you rewards or encouragement. You just have to be someone who just does things because you do things, right? And one of the things I'd say about finding the opportunities is it's also your chances of success if you find something you care deeply about are much greater than if you're just like, I'm going to do a startup and I'm going to pick an idea. This is a very long-term process. It's really, really brutally hard. And so you have to find something that you're passionate about. Other characteristics that Berkeley has analyzed: adaptability. Like if you're someone who likes things to be the same day in, day out, that's not it. But if you look around in your community, okay, well, who's somebody who's a student or a friend or a neighbor who you're like, yeah, they're motivated, they're really adaptable, they have some vision, curiosity, and problem solving. So these are all the characteristics we're going to be looking for, and we could add them, in follow up. But the main thing is, like, don't try to sell in the application process so much any startup that you're working on. Really focus on what you're made of, what your style is, and what resilience and stuff that you've shown along the way.
What we are looking for people with potential. It's not we're looking for an idea with potential. If we find great potential founders and turn them into great founders, everything else works. A really good founder, a really good founding team can fix a messed up idea. A really great idea cannot fix a messed up team, right?
Yeah.
You got to start with the people and move to the idea, not start with the idea and move to the people.
Yeah. And a lot of people coming into the program may not want to be a CEO of a company, but they may have technical capacities, they may have marketing capacities, business. And so the idea is for you also to be part of a team, because founders are, you don't want to be a solo founder. You really do want to have that team behind it. So the other thing that I would mention is you're going to have to block out on your calendar certain dates. And these are going to be full days. You're probably not going to be able to do anything after you're done because it's going to be very intense. The beginning is the boot camp, which will occur from the 11th to the 13th. Is that right? 10th through 12th. 10th through 12th of we'll send the written version. But the area between 10th and 12th. Which will be in Owerri. So if you're in Enugu, you have to figure out how to get over there and stay there. There's no sort of travel funding or whatever. You just have to figure out how to get yourself there. And entrepreneurs need to be resourceful. And then the next session will be happening in December. And then there will be a series of intensives, generally 3 to 5 days in duration. And they'll be mentoring every week, right? Like the idea is that you don't just go to the session and then forget about it. You take what you learn in the intensive and you apply it. And there are people who are going to be, Silicon Valley mentors who are going to be supporting you on a week-to-week basis. So it's a very substantial time commitment because we want you to really be transformed by this experience. We don't want it to just be I did that thing and I got the T-shirt. So Chris, any last things that we want to say about the program, or we can move into a bit of Q&A if you'd like to go that direction.
It's just the program itself. Even if you determine that you don't want to be a founder or this is not the right time to be a founder, can be really transformational. It gives you a set of skills, it gives you a set of knowledge, a way of thinking that can be helpful in your daily life, in your professional life. I was just talking with a founder from the country Poland, and he did a startup, and the startup wasn't the greatest in the world. He ended up selling it, and after he sold it, he only lost a little bit of money. He didn't even make any money. But he went on to be the chief marketing officer of a company that was sold for $3 billion. And everything that he knew and he learned through that journey is what positioned him to be the chief marketing officer of this other company. And so these are not skills that you will develop that are just applicable if you want to do a startup. It can really make an overall difference in the trajectory of your life.
Exactly. Yeah, King Henry, you have a hand.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Colin. Thank you so much, Chris. Hey, I just wanted to throw a little thing in. I think, yeah, just in case that wasn't really going clearly, like a couple persons asking about how is this possible, especially the conversation in the chat, and even Ngozi asking, thing of the mind. So yeah, I just want to hope you really got everything Colin said. The program is going to be like a 1 year stretch, right? And it's going to be a combination of both. Sometimes you have to be on site here in Owerri, and so there are some activities you would also have to do virtually. That's why by the time Chris is telling me, yeah, it's not really going to be being a founder is not really going to be an easy journey. That's why by the time you actually go through this, you really be, you know, you'd have all the majority of the skills, wits, grits to actually push whichever startup you actually do have. So yes, and the registration link is in the chat. So like we also said, we're looking for really outstanding persons, most especially, from the Southeast here. And if they're coming outside of Southeast, it's still very fine. You can always, push the link to anybody interested, Founder Dojo email. And yeah, we also looking at, even I personally had to ensure I registered. Didn't want to miss out. Having my community members, having startups, it's valued at millions of dollars. And I'm just saying, I'm a chapter director. No, I want to have my own startups too. So yes, everybody is welcome to register. You don't necessarily have to have businesses or. And one thing I keep saying, Nigerians, we actually have like the biggest grits, right? Everybody hustles like 3, 4 jobs just to come by. So yes, this is really something we need, bringing Silicon Valley down here to Nigeria, not just Nigeria, but the Southeast. So we could really become even challenging to Lagos. Everybody want to go to Lagos again. They want to come to area the Southeast. So yes, I think these were like the few things I wanted to chip in just to redrive that so that they know it's very important. So don't forget to register. It's really, really very important to register. Now we're already behind time, so you can start now to do that and get your friends too. Yeah, thank you very
Yeah,
much, Colin.
excellent. Yeah, and I want to reinforce that. I mean, so we need you to also think about who could be served by this program, right? Because often there'll also be people who are out there who have a lot of potential, but they never would have thought of being a founder or they haven't heard of the program. So especially for this first year, we need you to let other people know about it. And if you're thinking about applying, just grab a couple of your friends and be like, hey, I'm doing this thing. You should do it too. Let's see what we can do. So it would be a real gift for us if you can think about who else you might reach out to spread the word. All right, and so I think there's another hand. There's VOH. I think for moderation. King Henry, do you mind taking on moderation? I'm going to need to duck out a little bit. Okay, but VOH, I see a hand.
Okay, hi, good evening. I just wanted to confirm that after filling out the form, we got to the confirmation page that says confirmed. Does that mean, because I was expecting maybe there was going to be an email, but I didn't get any. So is that, does that mean the application was successfully received? Okay.
Yeah, let me. Yeah, I can look at the settings to make sure it's set up to do confirmation. But can you tell me your name? I can just actually go in the database and look too.
Okay, VOH Academy.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let me check on that. And Chris, if you want to handle any other last questions.
Do we have other questions?
Yes, Mr. Chris, I'm back again.
Okay.
I have a lot of very little questions I need to understand. When you talk about angel investors, who are they? I keep hearing angel investors.
Oh, that's easy. That I thought you were going to give me a hard question.
No, thanks.
Angel investors are people who typically invest their own money very early in the process. So there's the legal difference between an angel investor and a venture capitalist is an angel investor is investing their own money. A venture capitalist manages other people's money. So part of the reason angels are called angels is that they typically are investing before you have a product, before you've really figured anything out. And it's like an angel is looking out for me, right? It is, but the legal distinction is they're investing their own money. So I'm an angel investor, which means that when I invest in a company, the money goes from my personal bank account into that company. I'm not investing somebody else's cash. Does that make sense?
Yes, a lot of sense. Are you done? I have something else to ask you.
Go right ahead.
Okay, now when you invest that amount of money, what happens? I guess
Usually,
what do you do? You monitor, or what do you do? Or you let it go, or what?
usually I lose it.
Oh.
No, because the way startup investing works is you invest in a lot of companies, and most of them don't work, and that's okay. Because the one that does work, or the two that does work, makes so much money, you don't care about the other money that you lost.
Oh, okay.
So, for instance, I'm an investor in an Italian company. Okay. And I put a bunch of money in when the two founders were talking to me and they had an idea. They didn't have a product, they had an idea. And I fell in love with them as founders, and I loved their idea. I saw immediately why this was a good idea. So I gave them some money. Okay. Today, my ownership in that company is 80 times what I invested.
Oh.
Not 8 times, 80. 80 times what I invested.
Oh, okay.
So there's 30 other companies that I gave money that I lost everything, and I don't care. Because the one that worked is 80 times my money back.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So when I invest, my assumption is the money is gone. My assumption is I will never see the money again. Now,
okay.
Now, do I want to see the money again? Oh, absolutely, I want to see the money again. But I also know that most of the time it's not going to happen, and that's okay. But what I will do with the company I have invested in is I work with the founder to help them. And the most significant way I can work with the founder is to open up my network. I know people over the world. And for instance, this company in Italy, what I did with them was I know the chief technology officer of the huge tech company Lenovo out of Taiwan, right? And I introduced this company in Italy to the chief technology officer of Lenovo. And Lenovo is now a customer.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Mm.
That introduction to Lenovo was actually worth more than the money I gave them.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
Another example is I'm working with a company that I'm an angel for, and I help them redefine how they go get their customers.
Oh.
Because I want them to be successful.
Wow.
And I introduce them to people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the real value of angel investors is not the money. The value is the help they give and the connections the doors that they open.
Oh, okay.
Make sense?
A lot of sense. You really are an angel. Oh, thanks so much. Clara now.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ngozi. Really, really fantastic questions, and I do admire your zeal to learn, right? And this is really the zeal and eagerness that really brings and makes the best founders. So yeah, we're still in our Q&A session. I see Henry Nnabuchi's hand up. Henry, you can unmute and ask your question. Henry Nnabuchi, you can unmute and speak. Okay, but do we have any other person with any questions?
I do want to address, Henry, one of the comments in the chat about that it's lonely. Being a startup founder is lonely, which is part of why being in this kind of program is so important. It is to be surrounded by people who understand what you're going through and that you can support them and they can support you. The helping each other is almost as important as the help we will give you.
Okay, good evening, Chris. Good evening, Colin. I really thank you guys so much for the innovation you're bringing to the Southeast, precisely Enugu. But my deep question is, I think this digital ecosystem, is there a way we can, because traveling from Enugu here to Imo State as well, the on-site occasions might call for, might really be a kind of, I don't know, is there any arrangement for us to have a kind of sub office here in Enugu State? Thank you.
So as of right now, there is not any plan to do some kind of sub office. The amount of time you have to be in Owerri is actually quite small. It's probably a total of 6 weeks through the whole year if you go the whole way. The rest of the program is done online, remote. But it is really important for everybody to be together at different times in the program. Because as I just said, part of the value of the program is being part of this group of people. And your ability to bond and come together as a group, if you spend time together in person, happens in a way that you just can't have happen remotely. I understand. I understand your concern. It's just it's at the moment not something that we're working on doing.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. I
Thank you,
do
thank
hope
you so
that
much.
answers you. Great, great. So VOH, I want to believe you are applying already, as well as Ngozi. I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys and even you, Henry. and that sorry, did you say something, Ngozi?
I was going to, sorry, I interrupted you. When you're
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Ngozi has applied.
Oh wow, that's beautiful. That was fast. You finished the Google Forms now.
It was like a big, great exam. It was like writing a thesis. My goodness, Chris and Colin, how could you? Anyway, we survived it.
That's fantastic.
Are you complaining about the application?
Yes, that application
Yeah, she said it was
was
like a
really long.
thesis.
It's deliberate. It's a test.
You said it's a test. Sorry, Chris. Because you said that you don't need to be a founder to be able to apply, but some of the questions and requirements seems to require, because I know part of it asks for a website address, LinkedIn profile.
If you have it, if you have a website, give it to us. If you don't have a LinkedIn, make a LinkedIn.
Okay. Okay. And then I just wanted to find out, I want to believe that this is the first one for Africa. I don't know if you guys have done this kind of thing somewhere else in Africa, because when we started, I think it was you or Colin that was talking about demographics. So based off of the Berkeley studies that made you come up with this program, was Africa part of the demographic considered? Because
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That not so much Nigeria, although we ran one short program online during COVID in Nigeria. But there's been work that has been done in Ghana, work that has been done in Kenya, work that has been done in South Africa and Botswana.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Chris. And
Hello.
Ugochukwu says he has a question. Go ahead, Ugochukwu. Ugochukwu, you can unmute and speak. I think he's actually unmuted. So if you're unable to speak, I think you're free to also get to type here. So yeah, really fantastic conversation. Okay, Kingsley, you can go ahead. You can unmute and speak, Kingsley.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
yes, you're very clear. Go ahead.
Greetings to you, Chris.
Greetings.
Yeah, so what would you advise a founder who is not a technical person?
Why does that matter?
Because he needs to develop something he's passionate about, like building the
So
application.
you need to find a co-founder.
Okay.
Okay, so let me put this in perspective, right? I've had multiple companies, all tech companies. I sold 3 of them. I was a political science major, philosophy minor.
Okay.
You need a co-founder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm working on an idea, and luckily for me, I've been using AI, and I'm building out stuff, and it's turning out well. So I don't know if that still makes sense. Trying to
Say
get
that
the
again.
co-founder. requires commitments, which many of them are not willing to.
Part of what you have to figure out how to do is to sell the dream to a co-founder. If you can't get someone to believe enough in your idea that they will join you, you're probably not going to get customers to believe that they should join you. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but it's just one of the first tests of whether or not you're going to be successful is the ability to attract co-founders.
Well, distance is about being in Owerri is some distance, being lonely compared to Lagos. Anyway, I get your perspective. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, great. Fantastic conversation, Kingsley. One last time, Ugochukwu Ungu, are you available now? Your mic seems unmuted, but you're not saying anything. Okay, so I think it wouldn't be that bad. We begin. It's like 6:15. About over an hour, 10 minutes conversation. So I don't know, Chris, do you have like final words? Okay, Melvin, we see you.
So I grew up not, I grew up in a very cold place, not a hot place. I grew up playing ice hockey. And one of the greatest hockey players ever was asked one time, why did he score so many points? And his answer was because he would take the puck, the equivalent of like the football, and would shoot it at the net. He said that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you don't go try, you'll never know if you could succeed. There's nothing wrong with trying. There's nothing wrong with figuring out, is this for you? But if you don't try, your chances of success are zero. The only way you have a chance at success is by trying.
Yeah, those are really powerful words, right? You know, just getting started without having to want to figure out everything from the onset, and you can really see your results and your progress. So thank you so very much, Chris and Colin.
Henry, we got
Okay,
one
I
more
think
question from
Ugochukwu,
Brian.
yeah, Ugochukwu finally drops his question in the chat. He says, "Good day, everyone. Good day, Chris. What is your advice to founders like me who are building other founders in relation to business and finance?"
To be honest, I'm not really sure I understand the meat of the question.
So,
But the general advice that I give co-founders is you really have to find a way to work together, and you have to most of all find a way to effectively communicate with each other, because you need to be able to bridge, particularly if you have like technical people, business people, and finance people. You all sort of speak different languages, and you have to find a way to be able to communicate effectively so that you can make good decisions together.
okay, I don't know if that answers you, Ugochukwu. I think Ugochukwu says he's building other founders in relation to business and finance. So I think it would be nice you kind of like most likely specify the advice you're seeking. If you're having a problem or challenge, you narrow it down to that problem or challenge. It'll be way easier to advise you. But Chris has really given you most likely the overall and most important advice, right? So Brian, yes, this meeting is being recorded, and just ensure your in the community is going to be shared across. And I would actually also get to email it to everyone that participated, and you can always get to rewatch them. And Dell PC, I think you didn't update your name on your Zoom. He says, Chris, what's your plans for really good founders that will come off this program? What will the relationship look like going forward? That's a good question.
So our goal is that at the end of the end of the program, if you're really good and you go all the way through, that you would be in a position to raise serious money from a combination of Nigerian, African, and global venture capitalists. That our goal would be for the very best that you're in a position that you can raise several $1,000,000. And we're not going to disappear. We're not going to go away. We are very much sort of interested in seeing people go for the long run. The other thing is that you will have a whole collection of mentors throughout the program. And what often happens is that one of your mentors, if you're really successful, ends up being on your board of directors, and they help you for the next 5 to 10 years.
Wow.
That's exciting. That's super beautiful. So yes, like Chris really said prior, getting access to him and his network, right? So there wouldn't be need to make more mistakes. And I really appreciate questions like this that are really headed towards this program and most likely towards the end of the program. It's because you're going to be coming to Wary in the next couple of days or weeks. And
Yeah.
so yeah, and
So,
as you should be applying, and if you're having questions along the way regarding that, that would be something super exciting. And it's also something that we can always continue the conversation anytime, right? So yeah, Chris, you wanted to say something. Go ahead, please.
well, I'm gonna follow up just on the long term. The companies that we have worked with over the years have collectively raised more than 8 billion in capital. The very best of the very best go on to do extraordinary things.
That's super beautiful. That's beautiful. Inspiring. Yeah, and we really can't wait to see. And the most exciting part,
One of our companies just a few months ago in one shot, raised $500 million.
whoa, what series? Is that series C or
Series C, 500 million.
wow, wow. That's superb. That's superb. That's superb. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. The chapter director for Enugu, are you here? Udoka? I don't know. I think we didn't really get to give him a chance to speak. Okay. So I guess you actually answered Ugochukwu very well. He said the communication advice really is going to help solve his problem. So yeah, thank you all very much. You'll be receiving emails from me shortly. Join our community and to also guide you in your further steps with the your application for the Founder Dojo program. Ifeanyi, you have a question? Okay, you can go ahead, Ifeanyi. God's favor.
Yeah.
Okay, and I see Ngozi too has her hands raised. Okay, Ifeanyi, God's favor, go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I should have asked this question earlier. I joined in late and I had to go through the Founder Dojo email platform website to understand better and hearing yourself, Chris, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Talk about things to respect. I think it really puts things in perspective. So my question, I and my co-founders, we currently want to start up. We've been in the process for some time now. We by God's will, we validated our idea already. So we are more interested or more my question revolves more around two things. Number one, how does this apply for those of us who have already long been in the process, and especially how long I think you mentioned the program spanning 1 year, of which at the
Yes.
end of the year, you mentioned stuff about access to opportunity to expansion beyond the shores of Nigeria, and then financial opportunities. Please, I just wanted to understand more of this so I can communicate to my team.
Yeah, so the objective is at the end of the last stage of the program, we will be down to 3, 4, 5 companies. And we will be working with those companies on their global expansion strategy. And we will also be bringing those companies over to Silicon Valley for, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, so that they can work on building their network there. They can meet with the diaspora there. They can work with everybody. And they can start meeting investors. They can understand global markets. So, that is the goal for the companies that are doing the best. If you're just expanding in Nigeria, that's great. Don't get me wrong, that is a huge success. But we expect that there will be a small handful that are really in a position to be able to make some kind of a global impact.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That answers my question. We're actually looking forward to global expansion. So, you mentioned 3 to 5 startups that will be selected at the end of the program. So that means that we're looking at eliminations along the way. And so, what are the things that is going to determine the companies you end up selecting at the end of the 1 year, if I'm correct?
Yeah, so the first selection is going to be, do we believe in you as a founder? The first selection, I honestly don't care about your idea. I don't care about your startup. I don't care about your solution. I want to understand, do I believe that you have the ability to go the distance? The second is to really, really look at the validation of your idea. Is it the right idea? Does the idea need to be changed? Do you need to pivot? What is the idea? And not just is it a good idea, but is it a good fit for you? Is it a good fit for the founding team? Is it a good fit for the market? We will take the people that we think have the best ideas with the best fit, and then work on the question of how do we tailor a solution that doesn't just create in the short term customer value, which is absolutely important, but how do you have a product roadmap that will create true customer delight, and the product itself becomes a moat competitive in a competitive barrier? We will take the companies that we think are at the best at that point and down select to the ones that we're going to help take them to market. First, help take them to market locally, and then help take them to market globally.
Okay, thank you very much. My last question is this. You mentioned validation of the idea. So that means that you're going to be you're going to watch out heavily for startups that have already have some level of traction in terms of revenue, correct? That's through their
No,
platforms and
no,
stuff.
no. You're looking at this through a startup lens. We're looking at this through a founder lens.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
I mean,
Oh,
we I will take a great founder with zero traction before I will take a weak founder with some traction.
I see. Yeah. Thank you.
Because if you're a great founder and you've got some traction, we can triple, quadruple, 10x your traction. If you're a weak founder with traction, you're going to struggle to grow.
Cool. Cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, I now have to go.
Right. Yeah, so this is a kind of conversation I was expecting to hear. Yeah, thank you so much, Ifeanyi. Thank you so much, Precious. Thank you all for joining. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Riches from Enugu. Really fantastic conversation. I'm going to be emailing you all between today and tomorrow. So I'll say a lovely good night to you and go ahead with your applications, share with your friends, colleagues, communities. Let everyone be a part of this. Let them not miss out of Silicon Valley in the Southeast. So yeah, thank you all so much for your time. And it's a good night from here. Thank you so much, Chris, once again. I really do appreciate you.
Okay.
Chris,